This is Matt Brown, and you're listening to Just a Good Conversation. Tammy Locke has done it all and then some. She started her acting career on the silver screen with Robert Redford and ended it with Clint Eastwood. She's had a radio show, she was a professional roller derby skater, the lead singer of the band California Express, and now a book author.
Well, that's the whole thing. When they finally did take me and enroll me into public school, the kids at that time wanted to see how I colored because they knew me as a celebrity, and so they thought that, I don't know, it was mystical or something, that they had to see how I colored. So I brought my coloring books, and I don't know whatever happened to them, but they took them and they were going through them, and it was a ooh and a ah.
I'm Matt Brown, host of Just a Good Conversation. Take a listen to our archives. My guests have ranged from Major League Baseball players, professional photographers, school teachers, and Street Tree Revival founder John Mahoney.
A chainsaw is the fastest tool for removing wood, and you can make art extremely fast, right? It doesn't take a long time. In an hour and a half, you can turn a log into something that will sell for way more than firewood. And that's kind of how I fell in love with recycling wood.
The rest of my conversation with John can be found on our archives at justagoodconversation.com. Let's take a quick break for a sponsor before diving into my conversation with Tammy Locke. Tammy, how are you?
I'm doing just fine, Mr. Matt Brown.
You got that great voice.
Why, thank you.
Yeah, this is going to be a great sounding podcast.
Sounding.
Yeah, exactly. How long have you had that voice?
Oh.
Was it like because I'm sure you had a little girl voice, but when did you
Yeah.
come to that mature, beautiful woman voice?
Probably my 40s.
Really? It changed in your 40s?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Because before that, I was always very loud. Like as in
You loud?
break speakers loud.
So at 40, you know how to control your voice now
Well,
from time to
I
time?
do the best I can for Jersey made.
I mean, it's such a beautiful, distinct voice.
Yeah.
I mean, you should be doing audiobooks and radio shows.
One would think.
Yes.
But at one time of my life, there was this little doll that had lots of hair, and you'd shake it and it would laugh. And everybody thought that I was the one that put the vocal laugh to that doll.
Really?
Because my voice laugh is just like that doll. Oh, yeah, big time. Big time.
Have you ever thought about doing audiobooks?
I would love to. I would love to.
Because I'm a huge audiobook guy. And
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
All the time.
Well, I've already been asked to put my book, I Can Do Anything, into audio
I mean,
so that they can record it. But I don't know how to do all that.
well, we'll figure it out.
That sounds
Because your
wonderful.
voice would be perfect.
I
for
would
it.
love to.
Yeah. Because I'm listening to, right now, the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin.
Oh, wow.
Just a normal older gentleman's voice.
Yes.
But your voice doing your book
Yes.
is a must.
Really?
Yes.
I would think, I don't know if I'm allowed to say, I don't know. Some people say that my voice is sexy.
It is.
Oh, but I don't know if that's allowed on radio. I have to call my friend Harold.
Why wouldn't it be?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I have to call Harold. Harold worked for the FCA or whatever it is, the Security of Radio.
FCC.
FCC.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, he used to work for the security part of FCC for 40 years. I guess I would have to ask him.
I don't know how many people complain about sexy voice on the audiobook.
I don't know what they do with it. Who knows?
I think they would use it
But
just
I would be
fine.
open to doing it. Absolutely. Because, I mean, I love to talk. I love to talk low because most of the time my voice is so loud they can only handle me for a few minutes.
just a small piece of Tammy. That's all they could take.
Here's what it is.
So tell me, how does an 18-year-old girl, or 18-month-old baby
Baby.
make it onto any kind of silver screen?
Well,
What are
in
mom and dad
short,
thinking?
my mother got a call from my sister to have an audition.
Your mother got a call from your sister.
No, my mother got a call for my sister.
So your sister was acting.
Yes. There's three of us. Only the bottom two was in the, she was in the business. She's my second one up. The oldest one didn't do anything in the business.
What's the age?
She was too old.
What's the age differences?
5 years older than me, 7 years older than me.
Okay. So there's a 5-year difference. That's
Yes.
huge. Okay.
So my sister Cheryl was going in to audition for a role for the Fred Astaire Hour, Alcoa Presents, TV series called The Voice of Charlie Pont. The role name was Sally Lawrence. The father was Robert Redford. The mother was Diana Hyland, and Bill Bixby and some other big stars were in it as well. It was just it was a TV series, I guess, and it had a lot of different segments, and mine was one of the segments. So what happened was we usually had a lady that kind of cited as housekeeper, baby watcher.
Okay.
Minnie. Loved Minnie. Oh my gosh, Minnie, family, big time family. But anyways, Minnie couldn't watch me that day. Cheryl had the audition for the role of Sally, and so she had to take me with her. And when my mother, Cheryl, and myself got to the office, the secretary said, "Don't worry, Mrs. Locke, I'll take care of your little girl. I'll set her here on the couch." And so Cheryl and my mother went into the room right there. It was just right there, so it wasn't too far. And the secretary decided to leave a 18-month-old on the couch playing with whatever I was playing with, because
Right.
I wasn't raised with a lot of dolls and stuff like that. I do remember having a Betty, the oven, the whatever that thing's called, but that was literally all I had. I didn't really have dolls and stuff like that.
Okay.
So she decided to go out and get some coffee. Well, leave an 18-month-old and get what you get. I knew where my mother and my sister were, so I just opened the door and I walked in, and I'm with diapers and everything, and I said, "Mommy, potty. Mommy, potty." And the director and the producers were in there, and the door hit one of them as I walked in. And so they looked back, they looked at my sister, then looked at me, and they looked at my sister, looked at me, and they looked at each other, I guess, and nodded. And then they looked at my mother and they said, "We want her, not her." And that's how I landed the very first acting job.
Wow.
That was it.
I mean, so they've got to rearrange things, because if you're looking at a
Yes.
5-year-old, or
That's
actually
right.
your
They had
sister's
to
probably
rewrite it.
6.5 at the
Yeah.
time.
They had to rewrite it. I didn't have too many,
Right. But still, that's a
but
huge
they wrote
change in it.
action type things. Like I was in a pool, and this story's in my book called I Can Do Anything, which is on Amazon right now. It just tells about my whole life, basically. But they put me in a pool, and I knew there wasn't any water in the pool. And so I told the director, "No, there ain't no water in that there pool." And so they had to go out and get a hose and bring the hose in. And as soon as they did that and started filling up the pool, somebody put a bucket in front of me. And the next thing I know, I took the bucket, filled it with water, and poured it over my newly, what is it called?
Pressed or
Curled hairdo for the
no.
scene. And I poured it over my whole head. But they left it. They left it in the scene. So
Wow.
that was pretty cool. Yeah.
What's your first memories of being on a set?
I would think I remember some of the voice. Meet Me in St. Louis, the
Okay.
TV pilot. So if you go into Walmart or Target or whatever, and you purchase the 2-disc series, it's called Special Edition, of Meet Me in St. Louis. The left disc is Judy Garland and Margaret O'Brien's Meet Me in St. Louis, the very famous movie. And I'm on the second disc, which is on the right. It's the TV pilot, that they tried to launch after the famous movie. It didn't get off the ground, but it's a wonderful, wonderful shot TV series, one segment. And so it's on the second disc, and Morgan Brittany was in it, and Shelley Fabre and Constance. I can't remember the other people, but anyways.
What do you remember? Just the big
Playing
set?
with Morgan Brittany. You know, when you're a little girl, that's all you care about is playing. But
Right.
but my father, well, my mother, she was my, movie mother, basically. She was the one who taught me a lot of different things. And so when it's time to work, you work, because she was the one that was making me memorize lines for different roles. And so,
Did mom and dad have acting experience?
no. My father and my mother, on our block, we had a person that was in the theatrics for on stage stuff. And Miss B is all I'm going to call her. But yeah, we started doing like plays at our house. My father was a huge engineer at Northrop Corporation, and he built a stage, what is it called? A sound stage. And he did all of the stuff that you have in a stage premiere or whatever it is, plays and stuff like that. My mother did all the costumes. She was a big time sewer. And so we used to just do plays, and the other kids on the block would participate because B was a manager. I had it. Then the manager introduced us to her friend, which was Mitzi McGregor, the agent. And Mitzi was big back then. And so Cheryl got into the business first. And then when they started thinking that roles would come for me, that's when B convinced Mitzi to take me on. And that's when I started in the business and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who knew? That's such a...
Who knew?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you and your sisters look alike? You guys have the same body type, same kind of blue eyes?
Cheryl's smaller than I am.
Okay.
I'm 5'2". Cheryl's probably 4'9", 4'10".
Okay.
I would think. Cheryl's an amazing human being.
Cheryl's 4'9"?
She's about 4'9", 4'10".
She should have been a jockey.
About 4'10". Yeah, one would think. No, she rode bulls.
What? Jockey
Yeah.
would have been easier.
I know. She's an amazing horseman.
Wow.
We were all raised with 9 horses, probably 15 at one time. Not at one time, but I mean over, the duration of the years. We would take on another one and sell, and then bring one on and sell. And
Did Dad want to be a rancher?
Oh, my father was a rancher. Oh yeah,
Wow.
we went to the OK Corral. It was at the end of the 91 freeway in Gardena. Mm-hmm. It was the OK Corral. It's right next to the tar pits and the Wolf's Ranch, basically. And then there's another ranch around the corner. But yeah, I grew up with horses and doing gymkhana and a lot of gymkhana. And our whole tack room is where you store all of your stuff, your omeline, which is a sweet molasses type of a corn stuff. It's really good for the horses. And then your hay and stuff like that. And all your tack, your saddles, your bridles and hackneys and whatever else. But also in it was all 3 of us girls rode. Lorna, by the way, to finish your question, Cheryl was 4'9", 4'10". Lorna was about 5 foot, I would say 5'6".
Okay.
5'6". So Lorna was the tallest one. She was the one that didn't do anything in the business, except for one time when she read for the role of Wendy in Peter Pan, and she got it, but she didn't want it at that time. So, but anyways, the whole tack room was filled with ribbons and trophies. My dad built shelf after shelf after shelf. It was just lined, ceiling, walls, everywhere. We used to all 3 ride in the gymkhanas and would win.
When was the last time Tammy was on a horse?
Oh, the last time I went up to see my sister in Lake Havasu, Arizona. She's got 2 quarter horses.
That's nice.
And I rode it.
That's great.
Yeah.
See, you light up when you talk about it.
Yeah. But I did go a couple of years more than that, I think, to honey, my husband's here, my
Yes.
husband Tom. But we went to where he golfs. It's a right next to that ranch where you golf. What's that one called? Something. I don't remember. But my son and I went there and we rode with his best friend, Christopher. And so we rode some horses there too. I mean, I grew up with horses. I used to trick ride.
Wow.
Yeah, Cheryl did too. We'd sit on the horse and then we'd jump up on our feet and we'd gallop. And we'd be able to hold the reins and keep ourselves up on the horse while we trick rode. And
Did you do any riding in any of your career?
No.
Oh, that's a shame.
Well, sort of. On the set in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, they had a bull,
Okay.
a Brahma bull, and I used to shimmy up its leg. That's how I got up on horses. I'd shimmy up their leg as if it was a tree. I'd grab the horse's mane and then I'd flip over it.
Wow.
And that's how I rode.
Holy
So I'd ride the bull and then I'd ride, Clayt's horse. It was a big, gorgeous red horse, and I loved that horse. And I'd shimmy up that and I'd ride that. And yeah, whenever they couldn't find me on the set, I was on the bull. And then everybody be like freaking out, because they thought for sure this little child is going to get ran over. But for some strange reason, it didn't happen.
Jeez.
I was very blessed.
Were you enjoying commercials, TV? Like, what was you finding interesting as a child?
I loved it all. I mean, I was raised in it from 18 months old until I was about 9, I think, is when I got out of it, 9 or 10. When you're raised in something, it becomes you. And so the only time that I was really upset was when I was taken out of it. And all of my friends that I grew up with, Darby Hinton, Bill Mooney, Butch Patrick, all of my friends, Clint Howard, Ron Howard, all of my friends were still in the business. I grew up with them. And so when I was pulled out of it, I didn't like it. But what was going on at the time, unfortunately, and this story's in the book as well, but I'll just give you a sort of a peek into it. There was a woman that sued my mom and dad for custody of all 3 of us girls because they figured that we were $1 million commodities. So,
Were you getting the feeling like that was your social circle?
see, now I didn't grow up with those words.
Okay.
They never looked at that kind of stuff. They never talked about that kind of stuff.
But when you're
I just had fun.
right, but
There was nothing that was brought up that was something new.
right. When I'm
I went
7,
to parties. I went to all sorts of things.
were you going to normal school, regular school?
I was going to school on set
Okay.
only, and I was sitting at Shirley Temple's desk.
Okay. See, that's different.
Yeah.
I was sitting next to Mark Robson and,
Right.
Jimmy Crow.
Right. Well,
And we grew up in the neighborhood. So that was my
Right.
social circle where
Yeah,
my
no.
friends of your social circle was, Ron Howard and Clint.
Yes.
And so
exactly.
their lives are your lives.
Correct.
They're doing shows.
Yeah,
they're
we were
doing commercials.
having fun.
Right.
And my mother always taught me that when it's time to read your scripts and learn, that's what you had to do.
Right.
And
that was your little job.
That was my job. And then we were allowed to play as much as we wanted to outside of that. My mother driving from our house in Torrance all the way to Hollywood, she'd take my head and put it down in the seat because she didn't want me to see what hookers were. So I never knew.
Right.
And this is really sad because I never knew until I was about 19, 20 what a hooker was.
That's not actually bad.
That's bad.
Like,
Because I would think that people would know prior to that. But when I was 21, when I was married for the first time, my husband took me to Mexico for things that I never even knew existed. Bad stuff,
sure.
Stuff that's no. My
I don't
mouth
know
was open the whole time, like, I can't believe what I'm seeing here.
But I don't know if a 7-year-old girl on her way up to Hollywood needs to know what, that lady's doing on the street corner waving down.
Oh, I
Gary.
had lots of questions. My mother did not want to answer them.
Yeah.
So it was just easier to put my head down.
Mom,
in the
why is she
seat.
wearing those pretty heels?
Yeah. Yeah. Or,
Yeah.
other things. Daisy
Or-
Dukes.
Yeah, or not
That
wearing.
weren't invented then. And the Daisy Dukes were much smaller.
Much smaller. Yes. Part of Daisy was hanging out of those Dukes.
Yes.
Was there an odd shift for you to go back to public school?
Well, that's the whole thing. When they finally did take me and enroll me into public school, the kids at that time wanted to see how I colored because they knew me as a celebrity, and so they thought that, I don't know, it was mystical or something, that they had to see how I colored. So I brought my coloring books, and I don't know whatever happened to them, but they took them and they were going through them, and it was a ooh and a ah. And then after that, as I was, moving up in school, I was unfortunately picked on. I was bullied. But I hung out with my best friend, Joy Jones. She was like 6'2". I was 5 foot at the time, probably. And we were always known as the odd couple. And I was bullied a lot, a whole lot. And that's when my father put me in karate. And he pulled me out after a while. When it was raining, I didn't want to wear a raincoat because I was bullied so much. And when I wore the raincoat, they always thought that it was stupid looking. So I didn't want to wear the stupid looking raincoat to the karate class. And that's the night that he pulled me out. And I was turning purple, which at that time was 2 belts from a black in karate.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Was the bullying just because you were
Because of who I was?
Just who you were.
Yeah.
You had quote unquote celebrity status.
Yeah, I had no friends.
And Katie and Lisa just were regular kids
Correct.
in Torrance.
Yeah, I had no real friends in high school. Matter of fact, in
high school,
just Joy.
It kept
Joy and her
carried
family.
on through elementary, junior high, and high school.
Oh yes, yeah. Matter of fact, my sister purchased my high school prom date.
Are you kidding?
No, because I didn't have a boyfriend.
No disrespect.
At that time.
I know your husband's here, but you're gorgeous in those photos. I mean,
yeah, I really didn't. I had a couple of boyfriends, but they didn't want to go with me to the prom.
I mean, I was 7. I would have taken you. You would have had to have driven. I don't know if you want to go on my bike.
Oh,
to
you're
the prom.
too funny. No, she purchased this guy. I think his name was Warren. I've got photos on Facebook. People can see what I looked like.
I've seen.
Yeah.
Fools.
I was wearing this gorgeous white gown that I think Cheryl or somebody bought it for me for the date. And this is so funny because the date, she told Warren to show up at the school, not to pick me up at my house. So I think Cheryl took me to the school. Warren showed up in his truck. I can't remember. It's so long ago.
Right.
But we ended up going into the prom together. We had the most amazing time. He was a real cowboy. He knew how to do the country swing. I was in heaven because my sister used to be the waitress for a country bar in Norwalk, California called the Dodge Saloon. She used to waitress there. So I used to wash all the cups and the dishes and stuff like that. And when the police came in, they're like, okay, well, she's just washing, dishes. Mm-hmm. And we had the best time. And that was the only night I ever met him. I mean, literally at the end of the night, I don't remember if he dropped me off at my house or if Cheryl picked me up where he was or whatever, but she paid him $100 to take me to my prom. Here I am, 18, and I don't know how old he was, probably 24, 25.
What?
Yeah. But he said he'd love to, and we had the best time, the very best time ever. We danced all night long.
Oh my God.
All night long,
So
country
your
and
feet
western.
were sore. Just go, girl,
They
go.
were, and I don't like high heels, so I don't wear them.
Those beautiful blue eyes did not encapsulate people.
They did as it relates to wanting to hurt me.
Boy, people can be
But
dumb.
luckily, since my father did send me to karate, the karate moves helped me out in professional roller derby.
Well, before we
And
get
other
there,
things.
we got to talk about the wonderful, talented Anne Margaret, who you got to spend time with.
Yes.
My God.
I loved her.
That
Absolutely loved her. She gave me this beautiful, beautiful little Dala horse. It's bright orange with different colors. It's in the book. And she gave that to me. Just as a present, as something wonderful. And
you talk about how she hugged and kissed you. And she loved
she
you
did
to
all the
death and
time.
all
So
this-
did Aylin
and
Delon.
that was Once a Thief.
Yeah,
that
Once
show.
a Thief.
Yeah.
Exactly. Wonderful movie. Absolutely wonderful.
Do you
movie.
realize later as you got older, like, holy crap, that was the Anne Margaret? Not
No.
like it was just Anne.
No, because she remains my friend till today.
Yeah.
I don't call her anymore.
Right.
You know,
You're not going to
but,
hang out at,
she called me a couple of times, some years back, when I was telling you about Harold for the FCC.
Right.
I met Harold on Facebook, and he actually grew up as part of the Monroes on television. He didn't have any brothers, sisters, aunts, or uncles, and he used to watch the Monroes. And one day, my father always, used to tell us, if you don't ask, you'll never know. So I heard that people request things on Facebook. So I followed that same rule. And I said, I heard from Wayne Schulman that Anne Margaret was going to do her very first ever, and only one, she wasn't going to do any more at that point in time, ever again, autograph signing. And it was in Parsippany. And luckily, Harold came through with using all of his frequent flyer miles to get me a round-trip ticket and a hotel in Parsippany, and I was able to meet Anne Margaret for the first time in 50 years that day.
Wow.
That was pretty cool. But the sad thing is, George Pinocchio on Channel 7, he's an #1 entertainment reporter. He sent news people to my house because he heard of this passion that Harold, the compassion of purchasing round trips in the hotel. For me, it was a human interest story, so he wanted to film that. But the thing was, they came to my house and we filmed it, and they asked me all sorts of questions, and they boxed it. And when we got to Parsippany, I can't remember his name right this second because it disappeared. But anyways, a gentleman came, and he's in the book, by the way.
His actual name doesn't just say gentleman.
His name and his title. But he took us into Anne Margaret's ballroom because it was her own room.
Right.
Had to be.
Right.
Because the line went out the ballroom, around inside of the hotel, and then out the door and around the entire building 3 times.
Oh my God, it's Anne
It was
Margaret.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yes. And so we walked into her room. She spotted me from across the room, and she's going, "Oh my gosh." Oh, she stood up. She was sitting there with her wonderful husband, Aunt Roger. And she stood up, and she's telling all of the fans inside of the room, oh my gosh, that's my daughter, everybody. That's my daughter from Once a Thief. That's Tammy. That's my daughter. And she comes running not running, but walking very fast. And she walks up to me and she hugs me. And I was so captivated. Being so close to someone like that. And of course, you were asking earlier, did I ever think, about how big she was then or whatever? And now it only happened to me then that it dawned on me what I was holding in my arms and how gorgeous she was. Oh my gosh. Poetry in motion is what I say. She was picture perfect, just so beautiful. And I looked at her and I said, Anne, you are so beautiful. Mom, you're so beautiful. She goes, honey, it's not Anne. It's Anne Margaret. That's my name. I said, oh, my gosh. I am so sorry. I didn't know because back when we were filming, you were my mother. And so I didn't know your name. And so, I just apologized, and I've been calling her Anne Margaret ever since, basically.
I mean, you know that's old Hollywood when she would be on the Tonight Show and she can make Johnny blush. I mean, the man sat in front of some of the most beautiful women in the world.
Yeah.
But when she would come on, there's a couple other ones that would do that to him that he
yeah.
would get googly.
Yes.
I mean,
yeah.
Anne Margaret.
I didn't act that way.
And Ed would be drooling on the other side. I mean, she's old Hollywood.
Yes, she is.
You know, and you got to touch
She's so
that,
beautiful.
be a part of it.
I did.
She was talented. She could sing. She could dance. She was funny.
Exactly.
I mean, for the love of God, she was doing things with Elvis and Dean Martin, and she had major talent.
She did. And I was looking at her. I said, my goodness. I said, you are so beautiful. And she goes, well, honey. She goes, you are beautiful too because you are my daughter.
Still playing the role.
And then my husband was right there, and she says, oh, you come over here, handsome. And she went over and hugged him, and he melted in her arms.
Tom hasn't washed since then.
He has not washed since. And let me tell you, the stink is getting pretty bad.
Yeah, but he doesn't mind. He knows Anne Margaret touched his hands.
He did. Oh, he was just, just so excited.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. But unfortunately, there were so many people there.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
thousands and thousands. So the whole thing was George Pinocchio said, I have to have a picture of you and her to finish this this human interest story. And her management wouldn't allow it.
Really?
Yeah, unfortunately. He says, if I allow you to take a picture, the rest of the fans are going to
have 10,000 people behind you.
Yeah.
I don't care.
And then you
her
could have
daughter.
angry crowds and stuff like that. So, I mean, I understood it, is what it is. And so when I got back, what I did was I brought some photos and I had her sign them to George.
Okay.
And then I went and purchased a really expensive classic or an old silver, like an antique, old-fashioned, because she was,
frame.
Frame. And I sent it to him, but he called me up and let me know that we can't air your human interest story because you didn't get the photo. So about, 3 or 4 years later, I guess it was, Anne Margaret called me up physically. She goes, honey, I'm going to be at Parsippany again. She goes, and if you get there, I will make sure that photo happens. But by that time, they put the story in the can, basically. But I jumped on it. Don't think I didn't. I jumped on it. And so we went there again. And, some things happened that were not good. But, I don't want to say because I don't believe in dissing people. But I purchased a photo op that cost me $100 with her, and that's the photo that's on Facebook. And I'm very proud to say I'm a little girl that's just in love with my mom.
That's great. In 1966, I know we're jumping around a bit, but
that's okay.
You get the show. You land as one of the orphans of the show, the Moreaus.
Correct. Yeah.
Is that something like? Were you probably 7 or 8 at the time?
No.
How old are you?
I'm 6.
You're 6 at the time.
Yeah, 5.5 just turned.
Oh my God, you're just a little squirt.
Yeah, I was.
Going to Wyoming, right?
Well, no, I had to go to 20th Century Fox first to audition.
Well, audition, right. But the show does take place in parts of Wyoming and then some shot in L.A.?
Jackson Hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you about that in a second. But here's how I got the role. So my mother was called and they wanted to have me audition. I guess they saw Once a Thief and maybe something else, maybe Meet Me in St. Louis. And so when I got there, I literally ran past my mother into the 20th Century Fox executive's office. And I jumped up in his leather executive chair and I threw my feet up on his desk. And I grabbed his phone and I sat there at his desk as if I was making $1 million phone calls to different people. Now, mind you, my mother didn't tell me to do that. She never said anything. She just says, we're going for another audition. And that's what we did. And so my mother was devastated. She's like, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. And so he goes, let's go in and see what's going on. And that's how the executive found me, was my feet crisscrossed up on his desk. I'm on the phone making $1 million meetings or deals.
Right. Get so-and-so on the line.
Exactly.
This is Tammy, all of 6, my squeaky voice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he says, well, if she's got enough, if she's got huevos.
Yeah. You can say it. Balls.
Balls.
She's on my show.
She just landed the part of Amy Monroe because she's cantankerous and, and she's got a great personality. And I'm showing something, my mother didn't teach me to do that. I thought of it on my own. So
and that's
I
big.
was creative on my own,
Yeah, you're not a robot.
Exactly. I'm not a robot. Yeah. And it's something because I remember learning all of these scripts when I was a little girl and how my mother used to govern me as far as what I'm allowed to do and how many hours I have to study on them before I take a break and all that stuff. Well, on the set of The Monroes, my father was called in to take a red eye, and 20th Century Fox flew him out to Jackson Hole because my mother, nobody could get me under control. And that was the first time that it ever happened. But my father came in, and he walks up the top of the mountain where Noah Beery Jr. was, and he was a big, huge actor. He was on my TV series. But what happened is the director threw out the lines that I had learned for that day and made the writers rewrite the entire scene. And I was ordered to go and memorize all those lines after I'd been up until about 2 or 3 in the morning learning those lines. And so apparently I threw an absolute fit.
Child fit, like you would.
Fit.
Right.
Yeah.
I was probably sleep deprived.
Yeah. How am I supposed to differentiate new lines? How do I forget this to learn that? But as the Lord would see it, I was able to go and I learned the lines and I delivered it because Noah Beery Jr. said, Mr. Locke. And Noah Beery Jr. had a very low voice, like, Mr. Locke, don't you worry, because your little girl, she was able to learn those lines and to deliver them. She knows how to act naturally. She does it with no coaching at all. She just does it. They inform her what she does, and she just carries it out as if she's a pro. So there was no need for my dad to stay, so he flew back.
Thanks for the flight to Jackson Hole.
Exactly.
Jesus. It's not an easy trip.
Right.
Was learning your lines easy for you? I mean,
yeah, back then.
It was.
Yes. Yeah.
How was acting? Did you have an acting coach?
I did. Rance Howard.
Really?
Yes. And then, of course, remember Miss B.
But
You
how was that, having someone instruct you on acting, knowing
I had
your
no
emotions and do this and do that?
Rance was one of the nicest people I'd ever met in my life. And he was wonderful. He was such a family man. And he knew how to treat a child and to show them how to memorize the lines and things like that. But I was already taught way before that.
Right.
So I was like a sponge. I loved it. I loved Rance. He used to give us hugs and, he was like a dad.
Right.
With his sons there. And it was just a wonderful time back then.
How was those 2 seasons on that show?
I loved it. It was only 1 season.
Oh, 1 season.
In today's time, it would be 3 seasons. Because it's 26 episodes. Yes.
Okay.
So back then it's 26. But for years, I would get emails asking why nobody has released The Monroes on DVD. It was never released even on VHS. The only things that were out there all these years was black market VHSs.
Okay.
And some of the black markets were in actual what are they called? A magazine where they sell things.
Okay.
I don't remember what that's called.
A jacket or a sleeve? Like,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, and it was a full magazine of all the black market things they had. Crazy enough. I don't know how they didn't get sued. But anyways, nobody had all 26 episodes. Not one single person. And then when you did get a VHS, it would always say, you know, whatever it was playing on at the time, with their banner, TV Land or whoever it was.
Right.
You know, but nobody had the entire series. So I went ahead and I purchased the black market.
Was it a CBS, NBC, ABC? Who?
ABC, originally.
Okay.
Yeah, ABC.
And is there a reason why they've never released it? Or do they even have the originals?
Of course. So Trindang, I'm not sure if I was allowed to say that. She was the lawyer. Maybe she still is. I don't know. For 20th Century Fox, she just said that
she's not.
Oh,
lawyers
okay.
come and go like air.
Well, she was there for. I can guarantee you, she was there for 20 years because 20 years I fought to get it released, like a long time. When I married him, I was still fighting and writing and writing and writing. I've got hundreds of emails, thousands, and I'd call them. Why aren't you releasing the Monroes? Do you know how many fans try and get a hold of me and call me? And
I'm sure they would have to pay a fee, and they don't want to.
Oh my goodness! She says, "Well, we'll never release the Monroes, but Tammy, we'll sell you one segment to a total of 2. Only one person can buy a total of 2 segments." So I'm thinking, shoot, let me get some other friends together, you know. Like 13.
Yeah.
13 friends, two a piece, or whatever it is. But I wasn't allowed to do that either. But I bought 2 segments in the VHS for $200 because it was $100 a segment. Can you imagine? 20 years ago, segments that were $100 a piece. That meant my entire series was $2,600. Right. It would have been the most expensive TV series ever on the market. Crazy. So I got the VHSs and I put them in my machine, but unfortunately at the very bottom, the banner of 20th Century Fox, I think it was 20th Century Fox, ran across. I can't remember, but there's a banner, whoever did it, but it ran across the bottom, which cut out a lot of this, the scenes. But I got it. And so then, more years passed and I just kept on it. I was relentless.
Good.
To try and get this thing released because the fans were constantly asking me.
Right.
Then 7 years ago, 7 or 8, I was contacted by a fan out of Ohio. I believe it's Ohio or Idaho, can't remember. But a fan, and they said, "Did you know that a company called Shout Factory purchased the rights to remaster and distribute the Monroes?" And I said, no way. I said, I've been fighting for years for them to release it. And finally, Shout Factory, they got a hold of it just to distribute. They sold it and distributed it. That's the only license that they had. Mm-hmm. And so finally it was out. It was remastered. So I told the original producer, okay, he was still alive, Mr. Frederick Brogger from the Monroes, told him, and he was so excited to hear that. Matter of fact, I was talking to this lady, Kathy, that was the vice president over distribution at Shout, and he wrote a wonderful letter, which, by the way, is in my book, so you'll need to buy the book on Amazon if you want to read that letter, because I put the letter from Frederick Brogger into my book. And he said I could. But he CC'd me, and he thanked Kathy and the entire Shout corporation, or whatever it was, for bringing out and releasing the Monroes after all these years, and how the fans are going to go crazy about it. Oh,
yeah.
It was amazing because so here it is. It was only released in Walmart, in the store originally. Okay. Only the store. It wasn't released online.
Nationwide or regionally?
I'm not sure. Okay. Honestly, I don't know.
But did you get one here at a Walmart near you? Or?
Well, that's the funny thing. You just love jumping ahead, don't you, darling?
I my God.
On
This is like a
September,
twist.
I know. On September 6th, this is all. Yeah. Okay. So this right that I'm going to tell you right now is on Facebook Live.
Okay.
So if you are a Facebook member, you can filter by Tammy Locke, the Monroe's, Walmart, and you will find the original Go Live that I did because I heard on September 6th that it was going to be in Walmart physically. That was its first day release.
Okay.
So I made sure I had a job back then, and I made sure that I got up way early, 2:00 in the morning, to be at their doors at opening so that I could still get to work on time. And I put the Go Live up while I was outside. I said, okay, everybody, we're going to go inside and we're going to buy. I'm hoping that I was told the correct information and that we're going to purchase the very first copy ever of the Monroes. And I'm told all the time. Matter of fact, I was just told this past weekend being in Virginia at the Happy Trails Virginia style celebrity event that people bring that same Go Live video up all the time to watch it because it makes them feel good. But this is the launch for the very first time that I have been fighting for, struggling for them to release the DVD. I just wanted them to, and DVD was what the version that it was released in for the very first time, not VHS, not whatever was before that. It was DVD. So here I am on Go Live, and it was so funny because I think about this nowadays, how I was telling my phone Go Live on the Go Live. I'm picturing it. I'm looking at myself, and I'm saying, "Shh, don't say anything." I'm telling my phone, "Shh, don't say anything. I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble, if I'm going to get thrown out. I don't know if you're allowed to do this." So then I flipped the camera around to where it pans into Walmart. And I walked up to this young man. I'm walking all the way through.
What time of the morning is this?
6 a.m.
Oh, my God.
Yep. 6 a.m.
6 a.m. walking through Walmart.
Yep, walking into Walmart. And of course, as I'm walking through, I'm, oh, that's beautiful. Oh, my gosh, look at that. That's gorgeous. And
you
I'm
walk
just
out there
reacting.
with a robe, a plant, a swifter. Yeah.
Wow, that's really, I'm going to have to come back here and go shopping.
$200 later, you got a DVD.
Well, because prior to that, I'd never been in a Walmart. I went to Kmart. Okay. That was my place.
All right.
So here I am in a Walmart for the very
though.
first. I'm in the wow factor. I'm in the Walmart is like the god of stores.
A cheap date. Take Tammy to
I
Walmart.
am such a cheap date. I am not kidding. So here I am walking through this whole big place, and I'm like, where on earth do you think they keep DVDs? Oh my gosh. And so, I finally saw the word entertainment, and I'm like, that's gotta be it. So I walked over, and there was this young man there, really sweet young man, probably all of 18, maybe 19 at the most. And his name was JR. Well, I asked him what his name was, even though he had a little badge right there saying JR. But I said, hi. I said, I don't remember, word for word, but basically, I'm a celebrity. And I hate saying that word too, by the way. I really do. I wasn't raised being that. I was raised normal, even though I had that as a life. I also had a regular life too, and that's how I viewed myself. So anyways, I told him who I was, and I said, have you ever heard of the Monroes? I said, it's supposed to be here today, going on the shelves for the very first time. And I told him, I said, I've been fighting for this TV series to be released for, I would say, a minimum of 25 years. And I told him this. And finally, I'm told that it hits the stores, the shelves today. And this is all on Go Live. It's crazy. And this poor kid, he goes, well, let's just go over and, look on the shelves. Nope, not there. And so here I am, Go Live, and I would, how you minimize it on Go Live? I wasn't sure if it was going to turn off or not, but it didn't. It heard everything.
How many people are following you at this point?
Honestly, I don't know. I
mean,
really don't know.
God love you. It is 6 a.m. I don't know how many people are
I
checking
know
their Facebook.
there's a
going,
lot. Well, remember,
let's see what Tammy's doing.
back east. There's a lot of people back east that follow me as well, and a lot of people, internationally as well.
Right.
Yeah, but
I mean, I follow you, but I'm not checking to see if you're on Facebook Live at 6
well,
in
it
the morning.
notifies
sweetheart.
people.
Right.
It notifies
Yeah, it does.
people
It
that
does.
you're on live.
Oh, look, she's in Walmart. This is interesting.
But it was so funny because he goes, well, I just got some boxes in. Let's go through them. I said, well, do you know what the Monroe's looks like? It would probably be easier to find. So I minimized my screen, even though it kept me on camera. He opened up the box and I found the Monroe's cover and I showed him.
Okay.
And the first box that he opened up, there was the Monroe's. And he took it out and I literally started bawling my eyes out. Because, and I'm getting mystified right now, because so many years that I fought for the fans to get it out. And it was finally out. And this young man says, oh, here it is. And I said, oh my God. And I'm crying on Go Live. And I said, now what you got to do here, take this. I want you to say, follow my script. I said, I want you to, here it is, Tammy. Here, Tammy Locke. Here's the Monroe's. It's in DVD. And I'm buying the very first copy that's going on the shelves. I said, oh my God, I need Kleenex or something. Here I am right now, and I don't have any Kleenex in sight. But anyway, so he takes me up to his cashier. And he goes, oh my gosh, he goes, I don't have any Kleenex, but I do have a big, huge, those big paper rolls that are in the commercial bathrooms?
Yes. It's called sandpaper.
Oh my gosh. He handed me the whole thing and I'm busting up laughing with the tears falling down my face because here it is. I am live experiencing the release of my TV series for the very first time. And it was just so wonderful. I couldn't even stand it, so don't mind me.
No, but do
I'm
you realize
a very proud, emotional individual. I don't mind. So don't mind me. Just keep going.
But do you realize the experience in which this poor gentleman, JR, was given?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
he's going to be talking about that to his grandkids.
I'm hoping.
Oh, he is. Sweetheart.
I'm hoping.
Listen, there's no way that poor kid, he's probably a part-time college student.
Yeah.
He's working at Walmart at 6 a.m.
Yep.
And this woman comes up. She's got her phone
a star
up.
or celebrity,
He
whatever.
doesn't know who you are.
Exactly.
You got a phone up and he's like, yeah, lady, we'll find it. Sure. Just keep it together.
Well, it was so funny because here I am purchasing it and I said, do you take JCPenney? I think I said JCPenney. I said something like that. It was really stupid.
I got a Bullocks gift card.
I knew what I was saying. I just wanted, here I am crying. I'm trying to do anything I can to stop the tears because they wouldn't stop.
No.
And so what I did was I just kept prompting him. I said, okay, now this is what I want you to say. Here, take the DVD again. And
action.
Go, JR. This is what I want you to say. And, it was just so funny. He followed it to the T. It was so great. So great. And people go to that live video all the time.
What Walmart
just to
is it?
make, pardon me?
What Walmart was it at?
The Walmart that was in Irvine. Irvine, California.
I wonder if JR's still there.
I don't know. I haven't been back.
Wow.
But it was funny because he said JR and I called him Junior for the rest of the time on live video. Oh my God.
It could have been Jack Roberts, but he's Junior at the point.
I know. But it was so great because he loved it.
Sure.
He enjoyed the heck out of it and he followed my lead. If I told him to hold the DVD, hold it towards the camera so that the Go Live people could see you. And this is what I want you to say. Here, Tammy, you have just purchased your DVD of the Walmart, that's only in Walmart, of the Monroe's, where you played Amy.
That kid has got the best story ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
And it was, so I don't have that DVD. I gave it to Barbara Hershey.
What?
I know.
That one?
Yeah.
The JR DVD?
I know. I gave it to Barbara Hershey. I wanted to gift it to her because to me it was such a beautiful blessing from the Lord. It was.
But it's like JR's
I know.
DVD.
And so, to me it was a blessing, and I wanted to pass this beautiful blessing over to Barbara Hershey when I met her for the first time at Chiller long time ago.
Wow.
And I gave that to her, and I think we signed it. The boys and I signed it, so I gave it to her in my Amy bag, I believe. I gave her an Amy bag from the Monroes.
What a story.
Yeah.
I mean, for all the struggle, all the crap you had to go through,
Yeah. Yeah.
is it more worth it because it was that kind of a moment with this kid
Yes.
in Irvine than
Absolutely.
than if the studio just
See,
sent
I
you
didn't
a box?
even know him. I didn't even know him at all. And I just was, I was living on a wing and a prayer that for sure that it was going to be there.
Right.
I didn't even know if it was
No,
going to
it
be
could
there.
have been it could have been in Moreno Valley for all you know, or Hemet.
Yeah.
It didn't have to be in Irvine.
I know, but it was down the street from where I worked at the time.
Right.
Yeah, at a medical place.
What a great story.
Yeah. And then I
And an
turned it over to
experience with
Barbara. I
somebody.
still don't know if she even watched it. I have no idea.
It doesn't
But it
matter.
doesn't matter
No.
because it was my blessing, my gift that I even kept the receipt with it. Yeah. So I gifted her, and I hadn't
That's
seen
sweet.
her in years, and by the way, that's on YouTube. My very first ever meet and greet with Barbara Hershey.
Is on YouTube.
Is on YouTube. Yeah.
Your YouTube channel?
Yeah.
What's it called?
Tammy Locke.
Just Tammy Locke.
Yeah.
Look it up, people. Got to
Yeah.
check that out.
It's a beautiful thing. But for the ones that, Anne Marie's Morel's sister watches the Facebook Walmart video all the time. Whenever she's feeling down, matter of fact, Anne Marie Morel, she's in this picture I just showed you of the show that I was at in Roanoke, Virginia, the Happy Trails Virginia style film and movies show, celebrity autograph show. I go there every year. It's a Christian-based show where celebrities get together.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it's a family. It's a wonderful show, and everybody's family, and I sing. And when I'm not singing there,
now
I'm
that's
singing for the American Legion.
I have that in my notes. This is very important here. I need
Yeah.
to understand. Third place, 16-year-old music.
Yeah.
And you get third. How does a 16-year-old all of a sudden decide, I'm going to start singing my...
I don't know.
Tell me about that. And who the hell was first and second?
I don't even know. And I think in my book, I can't remember this very second because 4 years of labor of love, trying to write that thing. And, hey, okay, just give you an insight. The book was written, and it messed up. And then so I decided I had written like 200 pages of it, and then I decided to rewrite it because of some incidences that happened. And so I got hooked up. I spent thousands of dollars with a publisher. And so I went through, I don't even know how many editors with my book. So at first the book was like 200 and something. And then as I go through the book, I'm taking out a lot of stuff that I just didn't think that was needed any longer and threw that out basically. And then every story that was still in there, I read it and then rewrote it in my words is
Now,
how it came about.
Were you a diary girl? Did you keep a diary?
I did not.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all
no.
these are just kind of memories and thoughts of your stories through your life.
Correct.
In the book.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so the book went from like 200 I printed the whole book, so 200 and something pages, and then I'd circle stuff or I'd cross out stuff, and whatever was left, then I would just reread it and rewrite it in my words, because it was written in a Christian flair. And so then the next thing I know, I've gone from 200 to 500 and almost 600.
Whoa.
Yeah, I
Triples.
thought of a lot of different stories as I was growing up. It was amazing. I'd read one story and all of a sudden, boom, another story, another memory would pop up that I felt was, valid enough to be in my book.
Right.
I went through a lot of different
How was
things.
the process for you? Was it good?
It was rewriting it. It was very hard,
Just the kind
but
of.
it was fun.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I think the Lord made the first portion of what happened to that book. I know that the Lord made it happen because he wanted me to write my book. I know this for a fact because I was writing it with somebody and, just things happen,
Right.
and
Not everything works out.
yeah, not everything works out, and you can't, you have to pick yourself up and just move forward, as much as you possibly can.
And you're new to it,
and
too.
I'm new. I've never written a book. Matter of fact, how the book came about was Shirley Jones, Mrs. Partridge of the Partridge Family. Her and I were in her room one night. We used to do a lot of celebrity autograph signings together.
Okay.
And we were in her room one night in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And we were toting back martinis at the time. And so she started getting really intricate as far as wanting to know about me. She'd never done that before. This was a very first. So I'm telling her all of these stories, and she's just like, oh my gosh. She goes, honey, do you know how many books I've written? A lot. She goes, and that's what the fans love, is they love finding out that you're a human being too, just like them.
Yeah.
So I'm telling you that you need to absolutely write that book. And I said, oh, no, Shirley, no, no.
Yeah.
I said,
I'm just Tammy.
Yeah, I'm just Tammy. And Tammy was a bad, naughty girl, growing up. I'm just like everybody else. We, sometimes our morals, our ethics are, nothing's around when we need them, to guide us. The Lord wasn't there. I mean, he was probably there, but I was doing bad things. And I had to write those things. I had to tell Shirley, I said, no, I can't do it. I don't want people knowing about that. And she goes, honey, I'm going to tell you right now. That's what the fans love. They want to know what you've been through. They want to know that you're human, just like them, and not a mythical type of a personality that is a celebrity or whatever it is.
You're real.
Yeah, I'm
you
real.
Pay taxes, you get sick, you
I
might
do.
make a stupid choice.
Exactly.
Shocking.
Yeah.
You might as well be my neighbor.
I might be at a Darby Hinton, party one time when I spot Elton John off to the right. I was stepping on these stones, and sadly enough, I had my drink in my hand and I fell off the stones and fell all over Buddy Hackett. And, you might be doing that and embarrassing the heck out of you. Which actually happened.
That's not so bad. That's called Tuesday around here at my house.
But poor Buddy Hackett got, he got layered with whatever I was drinking that was red. So I think it would, just stained everything. But for those that you don't know who Darby Hinton is he was one of my first boyfriends. And I'm actually Darby's darling, and dude, I'm the very first. But Darby played Israel of Daniel Boone, the Daniel Boone series.
Really?
Yeah. Fess Parker, Daniel Boone.
Yes.
Darby was his son.
Wow.
And he played Israel. And so when Israel was playing, when Darby was turning like 20, I guess it was, he invited my sister Cheryl and I to the party. And as I just said, I was walking from the house, this big, huge, enormous mansion, all the way out to the party, which was in front of the tennis courts and stuff. And I actually fell on poor Buddy Hackett.
Because you saw Elton John.
And I'm sure there's a lot of people who know I saw Elton John, and I was going crazy. I got to go over there and,
That's
meet
Elton
him.
John.
That's Elton. And I didn't.
Incoming! Buddy Hackett gets
Yep, it
crushed with red
happened, and he
wine.
was so mad at me. Well, yeah, hello, but accidents happen, Yeah, but
I'm sure
it was
Buddy
so
Hackett's
much.
never spilled a drink
I
on
know.
anybody. Please.
It was so funny, but even funnier, my sister Cheryl was wearing this gorgeous red lame, which is a silker, like what? Oh my God, she was gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous that night. And she drove her. I think we drove a little tiny Chevy Love truck. You know, we didn't want to valet park it. So we actually drove to the top of the mountain and walked down. And as we're walking down, my sister fell and her legs went up and apart.
Oh, God.
And there were people walking down with us, and poor Cheryl's, you know, hootenanny was hanging out all over the place. And the next thing I know, you know, since I was raised in a normal world and not in a $1 million world, I didn't know how to socialize. I didn't. So we hung out with the limousine drivers.
Well, it wasn't like you
We
guys were going to
partying
Studio
down
54.
with the limousine drivers, you know.
Hey, those guys can be more trouble.
They're fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They know
were
where to get
fun.
the Coke and all the alcohol and the hookers at the end of the night.
That's right.
Jesus. And you'd have been safer
we
wiping
had
up
so
Buddy
much
Hackett
fun.
than you would have been with Jimmy the limo driver.
Exactly. Yeah,
Oh,
we
my
had the
goodness.
best time, though, you know, with the limo drivers. Go figure. But, yeah, that was Darby's party.
How did
What a
you
hoot.
find yourself into roller derby?
Now, remember I told you about Dodge Saloon? The Country and Western Saloon. I wish I had a picture. Because when I do book 2, because I'm thinking about writing a book 2, because I've got so many more stories. I'm going to co-write it with my best friend, Michael Diamond. But I wish we had a picture of the Dodge Saloon. I have Googled myself, you know, silly, looking for something, because I want to put that in the book too, because there's stories at the Dodge Saloon. But anyways, the Dodge Saloon, and this by the way is in the book. There is a man by the name of Troy Walker.
Okay.
Absolutely amazing man. He's an entertainer, and he sang, and he was a cross-dresser, and I'm not going to tell you the rest, but his best friends were John Hall and Ralphie Valadares of the LA T-Birds, the
Okay.
famous John Hall and Ralphie Valadares. And Troy loved my sister Cheryl and I, because Cheryl worked there at the bar. And he wanted us to come skating with him and all of his people to the Rollerdrome, which was in Pico Rivera, one night. And so we went with Troy, and we skated, and I met John, and I met Ralphie.
Have you ever seen roller derby before?
No. I
Were you
never
a
did.
decent skater?
Yes.
Okay.
You know those kind where they pull out and then you push them in and you screw it down?
Right.
Yeah, I was really good on those.
Okay.
Yeah. I used to have my own pair where you pull, it's a steel.
Yeah,
Little
it goes on
thing.
your shoe, steel pegs.
Correct.
Yeah, and you got to screw it on to tighten it up.
Correct. And so I was really good when I was, in my young life.
Yeah, I mean those things were
I love
the
them.
gold standard of
Yeah.
what you
Everybody was doing it. And so because I started skating around in my neighborhood, I knew how to skate. So when we got to the Rollerdrome and we rented our skates and stuff like that, Troy was talking with John Hall and Ralphie, and they were watching me. And I was just skating. It was on a flat surface, skating around in a circle. And John and Ralphie came skating up to me, and they said, "Would you like to try the bank track out?" And I didn't know what I loved it. I loved it. Like I was watching people skate on it. And yeah, I want to try that out, I don't now you asked me a question, and now because I try and rethink. Sometimes I have a thing where I'm talking to somebody and I'll reanalyze what I said, and I'll apologize in case I feel I made an error by saying something. So with that in mind, you asked me if I'd ever seen roller derby. I think I did.
on TV maybe.
I think I did. And I think it's in the book. I can't remember.
I just
wrote the
remember
book so long
occasionally
ago.
it was on like weird hours.
Yeah.
It'd be even
Yeah.
in black and white.
But
and
what I was
felt like it was
seeing-
in a high school gym.
Yes.
And they were just
Right.
women spinning
Well, I
around,
was
beating
just
the snot
skating-
out of each other.
Yeah, I was just skating on the cement floor that's glossed over
Right.
with shellac or whatever it is. But I was watching the people up on the bank track. And when they asked me if I wanted to go up there, I'm like, yeah.
Whoa.
Yes, I would love to. And so John brought me up, and Ralphie started skating around and showing me how to block and how to jump and doing all sorts of things. And
No fear at all.
no fear at all. No fear at all. Oh, no. I was raised more of a boy.
Well, you didn't look
Oh,
like
yeah.
a boy, sweetie.
My father, I was a tomboy. And so my father always, told us that he wanted a boy. So I tried to be the boy. I did everything. I rode motorcycles. I did everything a boy would do. I went to high school, 9th grade. I was in weightlifting class with boys.
What?
Oh, yeah, with boys. Yeah. I wanted to be a weightlifter, and I wanted to pump my body up to make sure that I didn't want to be like, big and huge,
Just want to be strong.
I just wanted to be strong. Yeah, to be able to protect myself. I mean, after all, people were already being horrible to me. I just wanted to make sure I was okay. And I had the goodness of, the karate when I was, 15 to 17, I guess it was. But I wanted to be strong. So in school, I was in weightlifting class with the boys.
Wow.
Absolutely. And when I wasn't doing that, I was in mechanics class. And so I was taking apart carburetors back then, putting them back together again and stuff like that. I wanted to be a boy. I wanted my dad proud of me.
Tom's got himself quite a catch here. I mean, you can fix the carburetor, you can protect him if something goes down, do a little kung fu moves. Yeah. I bet that wasn't in the vows. Fix my muffler and my bodyguard.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, I sure was. And then, when I was
You should have been the most popular girl on campus.
Oh, no, they hated my guts. I hated my guts.
Yeah, come on over, Tammy. Fix my carburetor.
And then, when I wasn't doing that, I was actually a Christmas tree salesman with my best friend Brenda. Her father owned a Christmas tree lot, and I sold Christmas trees with her every single year. And I was picking up because, I was picking up those Christmas trees and putting them up on cars and tying them down and stuff like that. Oh, I had a great best friend, Brenda. I was in love with her brothers. And
Oh, here it starts. That's why Brenda was such a friend. She had cute brothers.
Yeah, I went with one of them. Woo-wee.
Yeah. How long did you do roller derby for?
I believe it was 2 years.
That's 2 years longer than I ever would have
79, maybe 80 maybe 3. I can't remember, honestly.
Any injuries?
I know that, oh, yes.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and I'm not going to tell the story. People are going to have to buy it, but it's pretty daggum good.
Oh, boy.
Of this one story.
And it's in the book.
Yeah, it's in the book.
What page? I'll go right to it for lunch.
Turner.
Oh, boy.
It's in the table of contents. Now, okay, so let me tell you about the chapters of my book. I find when I talk to people all the time that there are people that don't read books from start to finish. They
Who the
just
hell's
don't.
that?
There's lots of people all over the place.
Well, you
They
can't
look
read
at the
Hemingway
table.
and do
well,
that.
that's what they do. So I wanted to pay homage, basically, to them. And some people just want to go to the story. Then they want to read that story, and then they'll read it from start to finish. But so what I wanted is I geared my chapters up to each story. So whatever the story was, that's a chapter. Now, maybe the chapter is only 1 page, but that's okay because I wanted it good for my fans. And that's what my fans, later asked me. They wanted to be able to, let's just say they're at a party and they bring my book with them. And they want to tell the story about something. They'll be able to go to the table of contents, know what that page number is, and go straight to it to tell everybody that story. That's how I made my chapters. So it might be a page, it might be 6 pages, might be 10, maybe 15.
Right.
It's various.
It's your book.
It's based on stories and how I wanted it to be acceptable or fun for the fan in case they want to do whatever they want, read what they want, when they want.
All right, so I'm at page 237. How in the hell is that girl not the most popular person in that high school of yours?
Well, now I was in my 20s. Yeah.
Singing in the band.
You've heard of the famous Hollywood Palomino Club?
Yes.
Okay, so I hold 3 titles there. Miss Globe, which is a bathing suit title, Miss Singer of Singers, and Miss Queen of Song. I entered contests back then, and I won them.
Wow.
Yeah.
What year? That club's not around anymore, is it?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Back in the probably, well, how old am I?
These are fantastic.
You know,
Well, you must have had a time
40
in your life.
years ago.
Yeah.
I was in my 20s.
Yes, but
25, 24,
you
26.
You must have had the time of your life.
I had a blast. Yeah. I met family to the famous Tex Williams.
No.
And I toured with his family, his nephews and son-in-law, and some other really gifted players like Marty Rifkin. Marty Rifkin is one of the most talented human beings in this entire time. I mean, years. He's an amazing musician. He's a producer. Long time ago, he used to work with such people as Bruce Springsteen.
I love this.
He used to work with Tom Petty when Tom Petty was alive. Elton John.
Miss Tammy and the California Express.
That's what we were entitled. Yeah.
My God.
Yeah. And I had a radio show, the Tammy Jean Show.
I love this outfit.
Thank you.
Oh, my God.
That was actually at Tex's house.
Oh, my
Yeah.
God. You still have
And
the
I
hat?
don't remember. I think it was Sam or Russ, his nephews and son-in-law, that set the camera up. They had it on a tripod, and the tripod took the photo. Yeah, but that was at Tex's home in Newhall, and since that, it's been torn down, and somebody built something else in its place.
I love this photo.
That was my photo for my radio show.
188 if you're going to buy this book. You got to look at that page. Tammy on a stool. And an outfit that would make your head turn.
Oh,
My
yeah.
goodness, lady. I'm going to
Yep.
blush.
Now, there's a page in there somewhere where I'm actually wearing a negligee. But it was a one-piece outfit. But I didn't know it was a negligee. I didn't know it was a pajama. I didn't know. I just know that my sister gave it to me, and I just thought it was the most prettiest thing. And I was invited to this this event. And as soon as I got into the event, I was being mobbed by photographers. But it's a gold outfit, and all I did was throw a black belt onto it. And you don't wear anything underneath it. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So I would assume that you could see through it. And that's probably why they mobbed me. But I felt sexy, and I was going, and I'm proud of myself, and I own myself.
That a girl. and I say thank you for wearing it at this podcast.
But that outfit's in there, the story.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
So tell me about the radio show. How did that come about?
The radio show was actually developed by my manager at the time, James Tiny Markle. He actually wrote the one song did a one record, a 45 that was never actually released. We printed 250 copies up and put it on the Pinto label, which is owned by Alexander Long Rifle. And he's still alive to today, and we're very good friends. And I just absolutely adore that man.
What's the song?
Reflecting in the memories of your lies.
Wow.
Yeah. And then, so here we had the first side, and we needed a flip side. And Tiny knew a man by the name of Michael Fletcher. And if you guys look up on Google who Michael Fletcher was, Michael Fletcher is the nephew of Willie Nelson. And so Michael's best friend, Patrick Summerson, wrote As Sure as I'm Living, and that's how we got the second side to my 45.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So You love karaoke. You love
I
to
love
sing.
karaoke. Well, I didn't have any choice, to be quite honest. My band broke up. They, some of them wanted to become roofers. Haven't figured why they want to do that.
Roofers?
Yeah, roofers. Yeah. They wanted to do a regular job.
Okay.
They'd been playing all their lives. They grew up in a home that catered to Merle Haggard and Willie Nelson and Johnny Paycheck. And, they did music all their lives. They wanted to do something else.
They were probably doing Modesto,
Everything.
Fresno, Bakersfield, Billings, Montana.
Exactly.
And they probably just said, I just want a house to sit my butt in.
Right. Yeah.
It's a tough
So
life,
they
right?
all
did you do that?
regular.
You and the Express, did you guys make trips like that up and
yes.
down?
We toured all over the United States. Yeah. Yeah, we had fun. We had a blast.
I mean, was it like having 4 brothers?
Yeah. I was
I mean,
in
you
love
never
with
had
one
brothers, so that's kind of like
I
the
was really in love with one of them. Yeah.
one brother's kind of cute.
Yes. He was wanted by all women. His name is Russ Paul. Oh, I was crazy about him. Yeah. And he literally was wanted by all women. He was Dennis. Dennis looked like Ronnie Van Zant of the not Led Zeppelin. What is can't remember. Ronnie's Van Zant. I'm sure you guys know who the band is. But anyway, I know blank.
Not the,
I can't think of it. Leonard Skinner
Leonard
band.
Skinner, yes.
Oh, thank you, Jesus,
My
for my
goodness.
memory to come back.
Yeah.
But
Tom, you're supposed to be Googling these things.
yeah, honey, what's up? You're supposed to be over there Googling. I can see him now. Ronnie Van Zant.
Yeah.
What is the band play?
What was the best place you played at where you had fun, where you're like, that night we're on fire?
We played, every time we played, we were on fire. It didn't matter. We had standing ovation after standing ovation. Yeah.
Were there nights where you're like, oh, this isn't a good night?
Nope.
I suck, they suck.
Nope.
The group,
Nope.
You just had a hell of a time.
One heck of a time. We were family. We loved each other. Jeffrey Steele was in it. He only played with us, I think, twice in a bowling alley somewhere. But Jeffrey Steele is a singer-songwriter, very famous one in Nashville, Tennessee. Christopher Nielsen, he was from a huge band, and I can't remember, not Aerosmith, but something like that, of that level. Christopher, I believe, is what I was told. Christopher Nielsen was in it, and then he left. And then Marty stayed with us. Marty is currently a record producer of enormous height. He does everybody A-list, He's an amazing man. Amazing. And I just love him. Matter of fact, how many years ago was it that... so my fans, I do a lot of go lives sometimes. Okay. I used to.
Were you guys playing your own music or cover songs?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, both.
What was your go-to? What was the one you knew
that I loved to back up on?
Yeah. Or if you
Cocaine.
Clapton's Cocaine?
Yep. They let me back up. All I had to do was cocaine.
And the place just go bonkers?
Yep.
Were there songs that if you saw the crowd and you're like, oh, there's more couples in here. If I hit this song, like we're gonna, you just
we never governed our playlist or our set list based on that. No, we even the LGBTQ, we even played gay bars, and I loved them. I loved them.
So when was this? Like late 70s, early 80s?
Yeah, in the 80s. In the
early 80s?
Wonderful. It was called Rawhide, I think. We loved playing for everybody.
That
it didn't
must have been
matter.
Very rare because it was mostly men's gay bars. Lesbians only had
like... Oh, no, there were both.
Yeah, but they would give them like a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like
we would do it on the weekends. Yeah, and they would come up to us, and I suppose this happens to everybody, but they give you, a song that they hope you know. They write it on a piece of paper and they hand it to you. So here comes, a beautiful lady walking up to me, and she wanted me to sing "Crazy" because
Okay.
she fell in love with her fiance to that song, and so I sang it for him, and they loved it. I love everybody. I don't care who you are.
Sure,
My
and
daddy
you're a
always taught me to
performer.
respect them, anyone, until they proved me that I shouldn't.
Right.
And that's how I govern my life.
And you were a performer.
I
So
was a performer.
For you, it's like, I will make you happy. Here I go.
Yeah. We enjoyed it. We had a blast. And then we would sing, in the famous Anaheim Cowboy, the famous cowboy owned by Jack Wade. That was a blast. Oh my gosh. I mean,
Girl, you must
we
have been
went
living the dream.
everywhere. A major dream. Yeah. Yep.
Did you know you were in the dream and the moment?
I did. But at that time, I was also in a horrible relationship.
Of course.
So all of that
that's
is
so
in
country of you.
Yeah,
Of course
I know.
you
Of
are.
course I was.
Yeah.
Where, mama gets thrown off the
Right.
off the train,
Mama's off the
whatever.
train. I got one boot. The dog's got a missing,
Exactly. Yeah. So I was having to deal with being beaten, raped, molested, and
Sing
having
country
fun,
songs.
sing country songs. Yeah. And working at an aerospace corporation. And during my breaks, my lunches and my breaks, I would have my little cassette recorder there, and I would be sitting on the ground up against a tool, an aerospace tool of some sort, and I'd be learning songs for my sets. So all of that was happening at the same time.
What were you doing at the aerospace?
Well, my father started me out in the instrumentation panel department at 17, I guess I was.
Okay.
17, turn 18. And so I was taught to solder wires that made the toggle switches for the F-18 fighter jet work. And then I didn't work there for very long. And he found out that there was a new product coming into town that Northrop at that time decided to make big. And it was called graphite. And so I started in graphite, because that's what the F-18s were made out of back then, was graphite. And then they autoclaved it, which is a pressurized oven. And it turned in, after you cut it and, deburr it and all sorts of stuff, it turns into an airplane. So it's funny because I always tell people, because I did do each step of its process. So I always make a funny out of it, even though it is true. But, somebody could challenge me probably. But I always say that I know how to build a plane from wet to dry to fly. And I do. Or I should say I did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tammy, that is amazing.
Yeah.
Here you
Yeah.
are working on F-18s.
Yeah.
And you're trying to learn lines to Crying Blue Eyes or something.
Yeah.
And you got your typical country shit relationship
Oh,
you're
yes.
dealing with.
Oh, yeah.
The girl's just trying to make a living. You're
Yeah.
not trying to schedule band, gigs in Modesto.
Yep. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. And then somebody found
Interesting.
out that I knew how to do numbers. Well, hello, I was raised by my mother and my dad, really good. And so they found out, and the next thing I know, I was put into the final line assembly stockroom, where I had about, probably about 1,500 parts, and each box had thousands and thousands. And they found out that I knew how to count. So they threw me in there. And when I went in there, it was a 0% accuracy. 0. They could not figure out why things, was wrong. Every time they went to count the product in the box, it was wrong. And so when they put me in the final line assembly, I think it was called the 1,700 stockroom, something like that. But I asked them, I said, can I do it my way? Will you allow me to do this my way? And they said yes. And so when vendors would send enormous bags, like a pillowcase size bag of little dinky parts, I would look at the pick list as far as how the orders would come. It would say 4 washers or 20 washers or 50 washers, whatever it was. I would bag that part into that so that I would open up the big, humongous, what is it called? Bulk.
Okay.
They do it by weight. Well, I knew if you did it by weight, it was going to be wrong. Not everything weighs the same. So that means all of your numbers of your parts are going to be off. I knew that, but I only knew it because of common sense. It's not because I was taught that. I just knew numbers. And if you're going to send me something in weight, whatever's in there is not going to match as far as pieces. And so I bagged everything up by the pieces, by whatever the pick list asked me for. And so my stock room went from a 0% to 100% in about 3 months. And I kept it that way at 100% for 7 years.
Wow.
And so my stock room was the focal point of all military tours, admirals or colonels or whatever it was of whatever branch. And they'd walk in and they'd walk up to one of the inventory boxes of the parts and they'd say, okay, show me this. Let's go look. And most of the time it was perfect on, like right on, it was 100%. But they would ask me, oh, well, if there was one missing, why don't you teach me how you would fix this? And so I would show them the process of what I would do. And I would show them how I'd fix it. Whoa. But I loved it. I was raised a workhorse, literally. I've been raised since, I was a baby and all I did was work.
Was there ever thought of college?
You know what? I went to 2 colleges.
Okay.
But back then, the words masters, bachelors, associates, whatever, that wasn't important back then to everybody. In my book, it shows all of my titles throughout my entire life. But I went to colleges for specific things I needed to learn, and I was certified in it, like plastics,
right,
composites. I even went to Stephen R. Covey. Can't think of what his... I can't think of... I'm trying to... Unfortunately, my husband's not over there Googling. Why don't you just tell him to get on the ball here?
Yeah.
But 7 interesting things or something. I don't remember what it was called, but it's in my book. But, I went to college. I went to 2 separate colleges. I even know how to build. I went to professional cake decorating. And I learned how to do that. But when I moved out to where we are, it's way too hot, and I don't have a refrigerator big enough to. I don't believe in... using buttercream because it's so bad for your heart, and you're taught that in the college. It's all lard, folks.
Yeah,
but it tastes so good. Yeah, it's lard and confectioner's sugar with vanilla, and that's all it is. So to me, I try to stay on a more nutritious side, even though I love hamburgers.
Okay.
That's my favorite thing in the entire world. But I use whipped cream, light whipped cream.
Okay.
Which is not really bad for your heart. So it works. Different companies that I worked at, I would make big cakes for people and they would pay me. My favorite type is like, white pudding cake with fresh strawberries and whipped cream and stuff like that. And
well, don't make me hungry. That sounds delicious.
I know. But, I think a lot of people, I don't know if my book is good. I'm getting both, types of reviews, and that's okay with me. Even some real,
hey,
interesting reviews.
Even if nobody liked it,
yeah,
it's your book.
It's my book. It's
right.
My life.
It's the way you wanted it. It's done.
Exactly. But there's, unfortunately, there's people call them haters. I don't know what it is. But can you read one of my reviews?
If one person likes it,
yeah,
that's what matters.
That's all that matters.
Right? It doesn't matter.
And if I can teach them something,
right,
that's what matters.
That's what matters,
so,
right?
So Matt's going to read just one of my reviews.
This is one of the reviews, right? So, and it's from a verified purchase. So
that's right.
This guy purchased it. Tammy is very personable, social media presence, and brought the book based on from a child singing star to a radio DJ. That's you.
That's me.
Roller derby competitor. That's
That's
you.
me.
My God. I don't see a word in here. It says that, you were a hot country singer. Damn it. What a piss poor review. Should have had that in there. Tammy's done it all, and at least a lot. She's a survivor too and enjoys, and this comes through on every page and photo.
See?
That's what you want.
That's what I want.
And let's see.
I want it to become a bestseller. Oh, he's still reading.
This guy's still going. Sheesh. I'm withholding a star because I think Tammy expressed the cover photo where the photos would be in color.
Yeah.
Well, that's not Tammy's fault.
That's right.
That's right.
Right.
They
They came out black. The whole book is in black and white. They released
it's gonna
it
be
as black
changed?
and white. But they're changing it.
All right.
I believe I hear already that it's coming out in color. And I told them to take black and white book out of their mouth. And they're not allowed to talk about that because it was never in the contract. So initially, there's been basically 100 books, I think, almost 100 books released and purchased, and they're black and white. So if you've ever seen a color photo taken to black and white, it kind of washes everything out, depending upon how much ink they use in printing on a page.
But he leaves the review with this. However, if you want to read a positive story of a former child star, this is it. Thank you, Tammy.
Yeah. Very sweet.
But see, now here's the thing.
Very sweet.
Like you gave me this the black and white version.
Yeah, I gave you that.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. When they come out in color,
Yes.
this is going to be worth more because nobody's going to be able to get the black and white.
That's what my friend said.
Yeah.
Matter of fact.
Special edition.
Exactly. Matter of fact, Michael, he goes, well, let's just look at it this way, Tammy, because unfortunately, I get so angry because of everything that's happened with the book. I say things I shouldn't. And being a Christian, I really shouldn't say the things that I sometimes do, but I lose my head. It happens.
Lord will talk to you
I'm
about
normal.
that at
The
some
Lord's
point.
going to talk to me later. But anyways, he goes, let's just look at it this way. Tammy, have you ever seen the movie Notting Hill? And I said, yeah, that's one of my favorite movies, Julia Roberts and Hugh Grant. He says, well, if you remember, he says, in one of the scenes where Julia Roberts, for the very first time, walks into his bookstore. I said, yeah, I remember that scene. He says, well, she picks up this map book and it's signed by the author. And she walks up to Hugh Grant. She goes, oh my gosh, this is signed by the author. And Hugh Grant replies to her saying, well, yes, he signed all of the books, but if you can find one that's not signed by the author, it's going to be worth way more. And basically, if it's not signed by the author and it was supposed to be, that's called an error. Well, the company that's selling my book right now, they made an error. They did it. Right. Not me. Mm-hmm. Because Michael paid them to do their job. All I did was fill out paperwork. How do you want your book? Well, I want it 6x9. I want it glossy front and back. I want it white pages with color photos. I want it this. I just filled it out on documents and I sent it back and they signed it and proofed it and stuff. But I don't know who entered the order or entered the book.
But it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because you got it done, right?
Yes, I got it done. And I was able to provide the black and whites, and some people even got color.
Right. It's a labor of love,
yes.
right? Wasn't this a challenge for you?
It was I have to be honest. I don't lie. I try not to, leastwise. I might fib every once in a while, but it was probably the worst thing I've ever had to do in my entire life. Because if you remember, Matt, I told you I went through a horrible, horrible time. Well, it was quite a long time.
Sure.
And so, unfortunately, every single time that I had to go through the book, I had to reread everything. Mm-hmm. And if you ask my husband, I was crying every single time I was having to reread that, those chapters again.
Go through that part of your life.
Crying. I had to relive everything over and over. That was really, really hard.
Yeah, it's tough.
Oh, my gosh. Great balls of fire. I didn't know how to deal with that part. My father always taught us to fix ourselves. We don't go to psychiatrists or whatever those other people, therapists or whatever. We don't. I had to do it for my son one time, but it wasn't for me. But I just don't believe in, for me only. I respect, I admire for other people to do it because they need it. Mm-hmm. They weren't raised the way that I was raised by a father that was so genuine and had his way. My mother, so genuine and had her way of teaching us something, and it instilled it. So we learned how to fix ourselves. There were like roles where I had to cry and take myself to that and then bring myself out and go to a party or,
Right.
I was taught all of this. So I personally, just for me, don't believe in going to those types of things because the way that I was raised, I know I can fix myself. And I did. I just turned to the Lord and he fixed me.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, it was really hard going through and reliving all that stuff back then. I mean, in creating the book, really hard. But, even for the chapters that were really fun, I relived all that excitement too.
Sure.
And
all
love
the good parts.
and, yeah. And then, meeting the love of my life right back here, he walked up to me and asked me for the honor of singing a duet. And we were married 1 year from that night.
What was that song?
Unforgettable.
Oh.
Unforgettable.
Can't go wrong with Nat. Come on. That's perfect. What's your go-to song, karaoke? What's your, I'm going to rock it tonight? What is it?
Actually, it's the song that I raised my son on when he was in my tummy. And that's The Glory of Love.
Really?
Yep.
That's
the movie From Beaches?
Yeah.
Where Bette Midler sings The Glory of Love?
You mean this girl in this hot outfit's going with Glory of Love?
Now, the hot outfit wasn't then. A picture of me singing is in the book as well when I married my husband.
I would have gone with something else. I wouldn't have thought Glory of Love.
I know a lot of people. Well, I'm different.
You're a different
I'm
girl
very
today.
different. I am a very different human being, and I was taught to love people and to always respect, admire, and even when you have a challenging person in your life, which I have had in the past at companies and stuff like that. But my father always taught me that no matter what, I had to completely give them 150% of respect while I'm at my work. Mm-hmm. And then I can voice whatever I want when I'm out of work.
Right.
To get rid of, to purge, the feelings that possibly, maybe they were treating me like, terrible that day. I'd purge when I would get into the car and I'd leave it there and I'd go home. That was another thing. You do not take what you're going through home to your family life because it could really put a serious, it's bad.
Now, you teased about it. You said possibly a second book. From what you've learned with this baby, how would you do it differently second time around?
With a person with me. So I'm not going through it alone.
You want a tandem bike? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And,
from the very beginning, would you get an editor right off the bat or a co-writer?
And I'm glad you asked that because I don't know the answer to that. I'm going to leave that up to my best friend, Michael Diamond.
Okay.
Yeah. Because he sees what I've been going through. He didn't see it while it was in play with all the publishers in the past. He didn't see any of that because he just out of nowhere calls me. And I know that the Lord put him in my life again for a reason.
How long has the book been out for?
2 weeks.
Okay.
I think.
Right. I think that's roughly. I think that's about right. I mean,
but, they had to...
refresh your batteries, though, and then maybe start up again?
Yeah, I could do it any time now with Michael. I plan on writing it because he was in my life for all my life, young life. And we went on a lot of different, like in the book, going to Nashville, and I sang Crazy in front of Willie Nelson, and... just a lot of different stories are in the book. And it just takes you through all the years that I was growing up.
Right. Tell me about the cover. How'd the cover come about?
The cover, I didn't, this is my first book. I didn't know how to design. I didn't even know you're supposed to design a cover. I didn't know anything. I didn't, usually I do research. You had no idea. I had no idea.
Did you do any research?
No.
Did you read a book about how to make a book?
No.
Books for dummies?
No. Because if everybody's got their own way, and I figured if I read about it from somebody else That's their way that they did it. I want to do it my way. So I'm learning it the hard way. I want to learn. And why am I punishing myself? I don't know. There must be a reason, like the Lord's preparing me for something really big. I don't know, but I'm on top of that. But, I just didn't want to read a how-to book because maybe they've got a different way than I would have done it. And that's why I'm doing it my way.
So how did the cover?
Yeah. So the cover, since I didn't know, I had only been told, okay, well, you got to design the front cover and you got to design the back cover. I'm like, what? And so I decided to allow my fans to design the front cover of my book. So I had a national and international contest. I put 2 tools out there and I publicized it on, one of those social media platforms. And I said, you can be the designer of the front cover of my book. And so I had the contest. So I gave them 2 tools, an old headshot. And then remember the old cans in the old days filled with vegetables or whatever it was, how, a long time ago they would slam this metal tool, which if you go up and down, it actually cuts.
Yeah, it tore.
It tore, yeah. Tore the lids, and that would be jaggedy, and you just kind of peel the lid up. You wouldn't go all the way around to where it took the lid out. And then, of course, people would put the lid back down, and that's how they saved
Their
the food,
peas or
the
whatever it was,
residual of whatever it was. So I gave the 2 tools, and if they knew me, because I went on live, I go on live, or I used to a lot, and I do a cappella and stuff like that, and I talk about my life all the time, whatever I'm going through or whatever it is. If you know me, then I want you to think outside of the box. And this lady from, I believe it's New Zealand, her name's Jeanette McDonald. Her husband, she goes, oh my gosh, my husband would, I know I would love to have my husband do this. So she apparently watched all of my go lives or whatever it was. And so she knew me. And so she, I guess, delivered what she knew to her husband. And then she printed out, the picture or maybe showed him, her phone or whatever it was of the headshot and the can. And she told him to think outside of the box about how would a child star and roller derby queen and a radio show host and a country singing headliner and an inventor, because I'm an inventor as well, how would that look as far as an animated picture? The next thing I know, so I'm getting all of these entries in my email. I've gotten rid of them because anything that wasn't drawn to, I just deleted.
Okay.
Because I knew that just wasn't what I wanted. So I just deleted, whatever the entry was. And as soon as I opened up this one email, I knew that's the cover of my book. And that's how it went. He won. And like a year later, I come to find out that her husband worked for Disney for 30 years in the animation department.
Really?
Yep. I was very blessed. The Lord brings tools to me in my life,
I've never thought of a woman coming out of a can before.
I know.
But that's pretty damn sexy looking.
Well, if you open up the first page, because a lot of people, to maybe the second page. Sorry. Right there.
Okay.
I think that's the one. Yeah. Right there. What does it say?
Why the can? Can't get stuck in the mud.
What's the first word?
Can't.
There you go. Now keep going.
Get stuck in the mud, and it's still there. Now, where's that come from?
My daddy.
Now, why did he come up with that? Is that something his father or family?
I don't know if his father or mother started him on it, but we were always taught that can't was not part of an equation that our family and raising children were allowed to know. Because if you hinder or already put a negative into a child's mind while they're being raised, sometimes, unfortunately, they don't fulfill whatever desire or dream they have. So my daddy always used to say, can't got stuck in the mud and it's still there. Choose another way. And so the bottom line is that if, I guess the big word here is I can. So on the cover, I'm sitting on the can. It's I can do anything, because can't got stuck in the mud and it's still there. Choose another way. So if you're going down the avenue and you've chosen one thing, no matter how old you are, if you raise children from the beginning of them learning something, let's just say a little girl or a little boy said, Daddy or Mommy, I can't do that. I'm afraid to do that. I can't. My daddy would always say, little girl or whoever, Tammy, can't got stuck in the mud and it's still there. Choose another way. Now, the funny thing about this whole thing is how my dad used to say it. I always thought he said cat. The cat got stuck in the mud and it's still there. Choose another way. And so I always used to try to keep that daggum cat out of that mud. And that's what I always thought, was I was trying to keep that cat out of the mud. So, but, in reality, it is can't. And the reason why you don't want to teach a child the word, you don't even speak the word in your house. Ever, ever, ever. Because anybody can do anything that they so choose. All you have to do is want it bad enough.
How would old Tex say it?
Why, everybody, I'm going to say that can't got stuck in the mud and it's still there. Choose another way. This old text from back in the time. And if anybody wants me to, just come up with some greenback dollars, and I'll come and I'll record something on your voicemails, and I'll say, Rebecca's not here right now. She's out plowing the fields with all of her horses, all those big Belgian horses. But she'll be back in just soon as she gets off that horse.
We need more Tex in this world.
And the funny thing is, back when I was 18 years old, my sister, the oldest sister, used to bring people to me all the time. Back in the day, we had recorders.
Yes, people, you'll have to Google this. There was a machine.
It was a long time ago.
It used to be near the kitchen, maybe, or
near the
phone.
kitchen. And when people would call, they would say, hi, this is the Williams family.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Katie. I'm Jim. I'm Stevie. And we're Bobby. And then, woof.
So wherever I was, on tour or whatever, my sister Lorna would call me up and she says, my girlfriend Julie wants old Tex to answer her phone. You got to make up a script and do that. And so, I wouldn't be paid for it back then, but I'd sure love to be paid for it now.
Yeah, exactly.
But I would love to create some sort of a answering, character for your personal answering service or whatever, and I can do it. I know I can.
It would be way better than
way
just
better
a standard phone.
Way better than standard.
That robotic.
The Waltons or whatever. This is John and John Boy and But my sister Lorna got me many people where I left messages, and it was old Tex. They all wanted old Tex, and so. Old Tex I invented back when I was 18 years old.
Can you imagine just being some random salesman? He calls up and old Tex is left on. You're like, I'm trying to get the Harrises. Who the hell is this old Southern Tex?
I always said the names, and then I just create a plot of what they were doing as far as being a country theme.
Steve, Barbara, and Carol can't come to the phone right now.
And I found out, unfortunately, how one of my characters, Tootie, she's in my head, she's like this little 3 to 4 year old little girl with bright blue eyes like mine, long eyelashes, and kind of like a Shirley Temple, like hairdress or, whatever. But I made up a little girl by the name of Tootie, and somebody downloaded it and they put it on a child's video game back when my son was like 10. And, I didn't go after him. Everybody always says, why didn't you go after him? Well, because Tootie's out there and she's making little children happy. she's talking and they're playing their video game and she's making everybody happy.
Yeah, but
that's
Mama
why.
needs to get paid.
Back then it just wasn't important to me. Whatever the Lord does at the time, that's more important to me because the Lord pays me tenfold.
Yeah.
So I just followed whatever, it was. And a friend of mine, very good friend of mine, Anson, he, him and I had a discussion one night, and you probably all know who it is. It's Potsy from Happy Days. But he always asked me, why didn't you sue him, And by the time Anson knew, it was like, 10 years passed or whatever.
Company's
and so
gone.
I don't know. I don't even know what the company was called. I don't even know what the video game was called. I asked my son, he's 25 right now, turning 26 in August. And let me tell you, ladies, he is hot. Single. But anyways, I asked, my son, Rob, what game was that? And he couldn't remember. So there's no way of, going back. But I'm not, it doesn't sadden me that I didn't do it at the time. So, but I looked at it as Tootie was making a lot of children really happy. They're loving listening to her. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool in my book.
That is cool.
Yeah.
This book is cool.
I hope so. I'll never forget.
Thank you for bringing this.
Your friend is Rodney Allen Rippey, and Rodney Allen Rippey is my best friend. And it was so funny because because everything was going wrong with the book and they were still selling the black and whites, and I never got an autograph, an author's copy. That's actually how it's supposed to happen. The author's supposed to receive a book first before anybody else does. Mm-hmm. That way that person can go page, and make sure and approve it. But I never got one. But so I purchased it when the dollars went down to $6.58. I purchased a book for Rodney and I sent it to him. And I noticed that I got a ding on my phone because it says that it delivered, and he's in his house doing something, because Rodney's an amazing individual. He's like a marketing executive for his own company, Ripped Marketing. But he's in his house. And so I called him. I said, hey, what you doing? And he says, oh, I'm creating, a video, whatever. I'm doing cut and paste or whatever it is, clipping. And from something I just filmed for somebody that paid me to do it or whatever. And I said, can you do me a favor? Can you go to your front door? He says, what? And he goes, what do you want me to go to my front? Just do me a favor, go to your front door.
Shut up, Ronnie. Go to the door.
Exactly.
Don't make a woman beg.
And it was funny because he opens up his door and he said, I said, well, tell me what you see. He says, I don't know. I hear people around the corner and I see, it's a little windy. I said, do me a favor, Rodney. Would you look down on the ground? He says, oh, there's a bag down here. An Amazon delivery.
Boy, Rodney.
And it was funny because he opened it right when I was on the phone. And he was so shocked and impressed at the same time. He's like, oh my God. And he's trying to teach me about things I don't know about, because I don't know about a lot of things. So hashtags, I'm learning about that. He's like, oh my gosh. And he's paging through, and there's so many stars in my book. Like I have a lot of celebrities that like Butch Patrick played Eddie Munster, and Bill Mooney, who played Will Robinson on Lost in Space. And I'm sure Eddie Munster played Eddie on The Munsters.
Right. And
then Darby Hinton as Israel Boone on Daniel Boone. And then, just a lot of different stars. Bill Cobbs played in Enough with Jennifer Lopez and Night at the Museum. Mm-hmm. He played in a lot. And then John Hall. I have a lot of memoirs that they wrote about me and knowing me, and they're in the book.
That's cool.
So there's really a lot of them. And Rodney's just like, whoa, Tammy, holy cats, you have this person too, and this person. And did you know that any person that you talk about, you can put a hashtag? with their name, and it'll go whenever somebody's, I don't know what ping means, whatever, but he says it'll go straight to your book because I don't know, whatever all that stuff is about it, it'll take people straight to my book because I write about them because they were in my book. Like Charlie Daniels, how Charlie Daniels, told everybody to shut up in the country bar that we were in Nashville so that I could sing. And that's where I sang in front of Willie. And Willie, well, I don't know if this is a hearsay. Michael saw Willie a tear when I was singing Crazy. So I don't know if that's true. I mean, that can be, misread as two things. Either I'm really the most awful thing you'd ever heard, and why in the heck is she singing my song? Or, wow, she really, she gave it justice, and I'm impressed, and maybe I had a tear.
Let's go with that.
Yeah, that's what I want to do.
Thank you for stopping by.
Thank
you
you
for the book. Now I've got something to read.
Yes. And when anybody, if you want to know more about me, there's a Wikipedia page on me. Just go to Wikipedia. It's Tammy Locke.
And they could, yep.
TammyLocke. I have my own website. There's about 4 million hits on that one already, and that's TammyLocke.com. And
you're on Twitter.
I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram.
You're on Instagram.
Yep.
The official Tammy Locke.
Yes, the official Tammy Locke.
Who's the imposter Tammy Locke? And then you're on LinkedIn.
Yes, I am.
All right.
I certainly am. I am. But, if you want to, see me or talk or whatever, I am on Facebook, and go to my Facebook page. It's Tammy Locke. It's not official, the official whatever. It's just Tammy Locke, and friend me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can, sometimes I bring people on to the go lives, and they're allowed to ask questions, and I'll answer them
That's
as long
very
as it's
cool.
within my means or whatever.
Sure.
But I love people. That's just the bottom line. That's the way that I was raised. And you don't diss people. That's a no-no. And so, I guess the word is haters. There's a lot of haters out there being kind of mean and stuff. But, I love them too.
That's right. You can't do everything.
You can't, all I can be is me.
That's right.
And I'm proud of who I am. I own who I am. If I'm whatever picture that it is, I used to be a 4X and now I'm 11 only because of my husband, and I didn't go on a diet. He just took out the dinner plates in the house and put me on a salad plate, and took 4 years to get there, but I'm an size 11 now.
That's
because
all right.
of that,
Yeah.
That's what it is.
You're not supposed to look like you're 18.
Exactly.
Right.
But I sure would love to.
I'm not going to say it, Tom, but he's nodding.
One can always try.
18 with that voice? Oh, my God, Tammy.
Oh,
You've been making
I
a living.
know, I
Holy
know, I
moly,
know.
girl. Jesus. Boy, Tom and I being here sweating.
It's true. It's true. It's true.
You're a beautiful woman.
Thank you.
You're a damn good guest, but you're a beautiful woman, Tammy.
Thank you. Truly appreciate that, Matt.
I can't thank you for coming by.
Such a pleasure.
Staring into those blue eyes and that deep voice. Rawr.
Rodney was the one that actually brought me to Matt's place, and I got to watch. I didn't get to see Rodney because I didn't, like my husband's sitting in here. But
Yeah, you didn't get to see how
I
the
hear it was
sausage
a great.
is made.
It had to have been a really great interview because it was like 2 hours and a half long.
You're getting there, sweetheart.
And Matt's been pursuing me ever since, and
Yeah.
that was years ago. So
Right.
I'm finally here.
And you said, when the book is ready,
When the book is ready, and it's just been out for a
boom,
couple of weeks.
delivered, brand new
Yeah,
baby.
I should take it to Junior.
Yes.
JR.
That poor kid. He's got a story forever.
He does.
This woman
And remember,
shows up
everybody.
6 a.m.
Exactly. If you want to see that video, it's on a Go Live on Facebook.
Yes.
Filter It by Tammy Locke. The words Tammy Locke, Walmart, and it should go straight to that video, and just enjoy it. Maybe put a comment in if you liked it or whatever,
Absolutely.
But that was the very first day that the Monroes, my TV series, hit the market.
What was the year on that?
Good question. It's in the book, and I'm not going to tell it.
Okay, because I'm saying if anybody knows JR.
That's right.
And they
Tell
worked
him.
at Walmart
Yeah.
in Irvine.
Yeah. Well, I told him, you hear the whole conversation and everything. I said, it's on live. It's saved and it's on live on Facebook. So he knew.
All right, good.
He knew.
All right.
And I think I gave him a business card right after that too.
That a girl.
After I coached him on what he needs to say when I'm purchasing, the video, the DVD basically, and I asked him if I don't remember what it was. Do you take JCPenney or? I just wanted to see what he said.
Walmart, doesn't take.
He got so
JCPenney.
embarrassed. He's like, "No, I don't think we take that one."
Yeah. Diners Club.
I just wanted to be funny.
You were
know.
funny.
But there's a lot of people that can't take my personality. That's okay.
That's all right.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Y'all have a choice in this world, everybody. When the Lord gives us, life, we all have a choice. We can either be a good person or a bad person, an evil person or a really blessed person.
Or you could just be
We
JR
have a
at
choice.
Walmart.
That's right, JR at Walmart, saying, "Hi, this is JR from Walmart. This is Tammy Locke. She played Amy on the Monroes."
And then you call the poor kid Junior for the next 20 minutes.
I did. Well, it made sense. I kept picturing the two letters together, and that always meant Junior, Earl Locke Jr. And he looked at me. You'll have to look at that because it was funny. When I first said it, he went, shook his head and his eyebrows, moved up and down like,
Oh, boy. You're the best, Tammy. Thank you
Thank
for
you,
doing this.
Matt.
I appreciate it.
Truly appreciate it. Why don't you say do you have call numbers on your radio
No,
podcast?
not
or
on a
anything?
podcast,
It's
sweetie.
just Matt Brown.
Just a good conversation.
There you go.
That's it.
Well,
Quite simple.
I think
just
we had a
one.
good conversation.
We did.
That's right.
You're the best.
I'm a country girl, don't you know?
Thank you for listening to my conversation with Tammy Locke. If you enjoyed this episode, please click the like button and become a subscriber to the podcast. Remember, you can follow the Just a Good Conversation podcast on Instagram, and you can find all of our past shows on the website at justagoodconversation.com. Thank you for listening.